Oh my gosh, good evening and welcome to Wednesday Night Wellness Live. I'm Dr. Andrew Merrill here at Nightlight Chiropractic, and this is the video that we bring to you each and every week that gives you all kinds of great tips and tricks that you can use starting right now to get healthier, to be healthier, to live a healthier lifestyle. And tonight I got a fantastic show for you. I picked a couple topics that I keep getting a lot of questions about from our patients here in the office, and I'm going to share those with you. But as I go through some of that, if any of you out there have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me to ask me in that comments section below, because I would love to answer some of those questions that you have, maybe about the topic that we're talking about, hopefully about the topic we're talking about, but not necessarily. If you have weird esoteric questions, I'm happy to give it a whirl at some of those as well. So tonight we are talking about something called delayed onset muscle soreness. And before I go any deeper into that, the question that I keep getting from patients is this: Dr. Merrill, I keep getting really sore after I go to the gym. What can I do about it? Is that normal? Is that bad? Should I come see you? Am I broken? How do I fix all of this soreness that I'm getting after I work out? And we've been seeing that a lot now recently after patients had taken a long time off from the gym and now they're getting back to exercise, and in getting back to exercise, they are not used to the soreness. I'm one of these people, right? So when you're working out regularly, you don't get the soreness as much that happens. And now when patients are not exercising or haven't been exercising frequently, they are getting tons of soreness after they exercise, and they want to know exactly how common that is, how normal that is, and what they can do about it. So let's talk about that here real quick. What's actually happening in your body that's creating some of this soreness? Because if you've ever worked out before, you know that the soreness that you get after exercise is very different than the soreness that you get when you suffer an injury, right? Much, much different. It happens about 24 to 48 hours after that physical bout. And what actually happens during that bout of exercise is that you do some structural damage to the muscle fibers, right? So the muscle is a cell, and what happens is you create some tearing in that muscle, and so you damage some of those cells. You create some membrane damage to those cells, and then calcium leaks out of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Not really important to the rest of the conversation. Protease activation results in breakdown of cellular proteins. You end up with inflammation in the muscle. You end up with edema, which is swelling in the area, and pain. That's what's happening at the cellular level. Now, what do we do to fix it, and is this normal? Well, it is normal. And what we find in the research is that DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, if you're going to go research on this on your own, you want to type in DOMS and then whatever else you want to research on it, because that's how it is abbreviated in the literature. But that delayed onset muscle soreness happens after intense exercise, and most frequently to people who are deconditioned or who don't train a lot. Right? And we see this again and again and again in patients. And I need everyone to understand that this is a normal process of adaptation, right? So the soreness that you're getting is your body adapting to the load that is happening because of it. There's some things that we can do to fix this, and I'm going to get to those in just a second. But you need to understand that the soreness that you're getting is normal and controllable, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that you had a heavy bout of exercise, and that's what we want. We want you to be exercising, right? Exercise is important. You need to do it. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, but it's a part of what you should be doing, so that soreness is, again, part of what you should be getting, fortunately or unfortunately. So the repair phase that happens to that adaptation is part and parcel of that muscle soreness. It's something that you have to go through. So in looking at some of this research, okay, so I already got some good questions coming in about dehydration. We're going to get to that. Bear with me. Wait a minute. Hang on. All right. So the fine line that we see is between stimulation of the muscle and getting strength to build up, and then also doing too much and getting just increased soreness. And my buddy Patrick Diver, who's a personal trainer here in Orlando, who was on the show probably a couple months ago, talks about this a lot. He talks about training to the point where you're going to get the adaptive change or feel the burn, but you are not creating so much more inflammation that basically all you're doing is creating something that's going to get in the way of that adaptation, right? So you want to do just enough to cause the adaptive change without actually overstimulating the inflammatory phase, which is going to get in the way of recovery, right? So there was a quote that I came across as well. It's by a guy named Carl Valle, and it's a fantastic quote because it's important, because I don't know what kind of training you're doing out there, but if you're doing some training that is way over the top, you're getting tons of soreness from it, you feel like it is just pushing you to be the toughest, strongest you've ever been. Here's Carl Valle's quote. any extreme program is built on the graveyard of injured athletes. And basically what that means is if you are pushing so far and so hard that you are getting tons and tons of soreness, you're not necessarily getting bigger and better and faster and stronger and adapting better. All you're getting is more soreness, right? So if you find yourself where you are more sore 2 and 3 and 4 days post-bout, exercise bout, you need to make sure that you're backing it down just a little bit from what you're doing, because that's not normal. That's not good for your body adaptively. That's just making you more sore. So how are we going to fix this, right? What are the steps that we can use to reduce some of that soreness that we're getting? Well, like somebody mentioned in the comments section earlier, prematurely, I might add, you got to stay hydrated, right? So without water, there's more buildup of inflammatory chemicals in the muscles, and you end up getting more soreness afterwards. So you need to make sure that you are very, very well hydrated so that that water can help to get some of those chemicals out of the muscle post-bout. Getting a massage is important. Now I got it. I'm not self-promoting here. I never have. I never will. I don't sell stuff on this Wednesday Night Wellness video. But there's lots of research that to help combat delayed onset muscle soreness, getting a massage can help to reduce some of those symptoms. Now, there is something else you can use. Oh, I don't have it in here. There's the Hypervolt by Hyperace. There's all those massage guns that you can use similarly to getting a massage from a professional that's going to help to reduce some of that soreness. So those massage guns, I stand behind them. I like them. Use them because they will help you with that muscle soreness that you might get. Another thing is increasing circulation. So to prevent some of that delayed onset muscle soreness, you can end up increasing circulation by using a warm Epsom bath salt. Now it's important here, if you've ever heard these videos before, I talk about don't use heat. If you use heat, you increase swelling, you increase edema, you're going to get in the way of that adaptation phase that happens in those muscles. You need to be using a warm Epsom salt bath, which helps to increase circulation without increasing too much swelling. Important if you're going to do that. The other thing you can do, it's big right now, is compression clothing, right? So compression fitting clothing is really important to help get some of that warmth and increased circulation. I get a question here about vitamins. Actually, no, there's no vitamins out there that have been shown to help with delayed onset muscle soreness. There was a little bit of hope for bicarbonate a long time ago, the same stuff you'd find in baking soda, but it petered out, right? After a couple more research studies trying to replicate it, it does not help the way that it's supposed to because it can't get into the muscle there. Magnesium is kind of important, but your body should have enough magnesium in there to deal with some of that. So not necessarily something that I'd recommend, and not something in the literature that you can find to reduce delayed onset muscle soreness. Sleep is important, right? So all these good questions, but sleep has been shown to reduce delayed onset muscle soreness and the amount of symptoms that you get. So sleep is important, 7 hours minimum. More than that, fantastic. It's going to help you to recover. The last thing really big right now is active recovery, right? So if you're used to just going really hard a couple days a week and then being really lazy the other couple days of a week, that's not what you should be doing. So rest days or down days should not be lazy days. Walking, maybe using the stairs, maybe a light bout of exercise to what you would normally do can help to get those muscles moving, which is going to help to keep away that delayed onset muscle soreness. Epsom salts, yeah, exactly, right? Same idea. Magnesium and Epsom salts is what they're thinking is going to soak into those muscles. It's going to help to reduce some of the muscle rigidity, some of the muscle tone, but it's not necessarily going to reduce the delayed onset muscle soreness. So it'll increase circulation, which is why we promote it. But if you look at PubMed right now, you don't find the research that you're looking for on the magnesium. Muscle cramps versus delayed onset muscle soreness, very different things, right? So muscle cramps that you get like while you're working out or the day after is because there's not enough calcium to release that muscle again. So it probably means that you need to change something about your diet, or more importantly, your hydration, so that you're not getting those muscle cramps. But that's not what we're talking about, right? The delayed onset muscle soreness is going to be the soreness that you have the next day or 2 days later. The muscle cramps are totally separate and removed, and that might actually be where magnesium kind of comes in a little bit better there. So those are a couple different tricks that you can use to reduce your delayed onset muscle soreness. I don't necessarily know that I would promote people being in the gyms right now. In my gym, there's people who are finding ways to not have their masks on, to not wipe down their tables. It's kind of scary. So if you have a different way, definitely do that. If you have other tips and tricks for how you reduce delayed onset muscle soreness, I'd love to hear them in the comment section. I'd love to hear them in the next time I see you, because I'm always trying to find ways myself to reduce the soreness that I get after a hard bout. So that's it. That's what I have for this evening, was that delayed onset muscle soreness. I did really quick want to go over something that my consultant gave to me, right? So he knows that we've all been struggling. He works with a lot of chiropractors across the United States, and I work with a lot of patients here. And I thought that some of this information that he kind of pushed out to me and condensed for me might be really good for you, the viewer, whoever you are out there. So basically, he's talking about how to stay sane and how things are actually working out for you just fine right now, right? They are. I know, I got it, I understand. It's hard out there and anxiety is crazy, but if you're doing a few of these things, if you're creating a program for yourself, you are finding you're going to be fine. So have you ever noticed in life that no matter what you do, things are either going to go your way or they're not? Right? So you can be completely prepared, and then something comes along and just sends all your plans wayward, and it was through no fault of your own, or so you'd say. Call it good luck, bad timing, destiny, a blessing in disguise, maybe even a message. But most of the time, things are actually working out your way. Like I just said, most of the time, things are working out your way, and even if you don't see it and don't realize it, the world is getting better. And that's across the board, and for you, the viewer, you, right now. But understand that, good times have to be coupled with bad times for growth, right? It's important to understand that if good times were always good, you'd never understand that they were good, and you wouldn't grow. You wouldn't be able to overcome obstacles and hurdles and challenges and actually get better. It says right here, Florida's on fire if you watch the news, and Florida is 110 degrees, so it's about as close as you can get to on fire. But I promise you that there is a lot of good things going on, even in Florida right now. So anyways, back to it. The key I think to happiness and staying sane through some of this right now is to manage your expectations a little bit. Understand that it is a hard time in the world right now, and if you manage your expectations, then you won't be disappointed in the outcome quite as much. I know that that's kind of a back end to happiness, but if you understand that the way things are is what they are instead of necessarily the way that you want them to be, you can still be happy with what you have and where you are. Anyway, so basically the point is to not be married necessarily to the outcome, but to be married to the process, right? And I think being married to the process looks a little bit different when you're talking about a business versus when you're talking about a person. But there are some processes that I have that I want to share with you, and then hopefully in the comments somewhere, maybe later on tonight, maybe tomorrow, some of you who are watching this will give me some of your processes and some of the things that I might have missed that help you to live your best life. Ready? So here you go. The formula for my process: sleep. Right? I almost always get 7 hours of sleep. I shoot for more like 8, but 7 to 8 hours of sleep almost all the time, unless I'm on vacation, and then my sleep torpedoes downward. I don't know why that is exactly, but sleep is really important. Make sure that you're doing it and getting it as part of the process. Working out, right? My process involves working out first thing in the week, and then again first thing in the morning later on in the week, and it helps to make sure that I don't ever run out of time to do that. I force it into the beginning part of my week, and I think that it's important there, and so you should too. Put it into the beginning part of your week, wherever that is. If you start work at 5 a.m. Monday morning, then do it Sunday night and call that the beginning of your week. You got to eat right most of the time, right? So not saying every meal, don't try and eat right every meal. Let's say you eat 21 meals a week, try and make 18 or 19 of them really good, and the other 2 or 3, who cares, right? Don't fret over it, don't sweat it. It's not supposed to be perfect. You're trying to be happy and healthy, not just healthy and insane. I think it's important that you supplement. There's a few supplements that I take on the daily. I take fish oil every day. I take a multivitamin. I take zinc. I take CBD, and I take nicotinamide riboside. We can talk about that in a different video, not necessarily this evening. I meditate, pray, and appreciate. Sometimes all together, sometimes separately, but I think it's an important part of my process in my day to take a little time to appreciate what you have and say thank you to a higher power or to whatever. You got to be the best person that you can be, right? And being the best person that you can be is summarized very easily into give a little bit more than you take. In every single interaction that you have with other people, if you try and give a little bit more than you take, you're going to notice that it makes you happier, it makes them happier. You come out a better person if you go into it with that mindset. You got to love your friends, your family, even strangers for exactly who they are. You cannot control them. It's important that you, just spread the love out there because you can only control one person, and that's you. And then you got to make sure that each day is a balance of work, play, rest, thought, and no thought. So my consultant's a big fan of naps. I don't necessarily like naps, but I do like some downtime, not when you're playing on your phone or the internet, where you're just kind of like looking out the window or I don't want to say daydreaming, but more like focused daydreaming, I think is an important part of the day. So again, like I said, this is my process, right? I mean, after I do these things, you got to just make peace with the rest of it. Let the chips fall where they may. You've given it your all. You've strived to be your best. The outcome is not always going to be what you want it to be, but the process can be what you want it to be. So if you have more tips and tricks, always love to hear them. Find me in the comments section. I tend to lurk in there occasionally. And that's it. That's all I have for the evening. You know, make a process for yourself and be a better person. If you have questions for me about delayed onset muscle soreness, if you want me to dig into a specific topic related to it, definitely hit me up in the comments section, or you can find me, Dr. Merrill at nightlightchiropractic.com. Love to answer your questions about delayed onset muscle soreness. That's all I have for the evening. Be well. I will see you next week for another Wednesday Night Wellness Live. Be healthy and good night.